Willow Hart had chosen the old brick storefront on Maple Falls' crooked Main Street because the place smelled like history. Iron radiators, cedar shelves, and faint, comforting echoes of flour and yeast from the bakery that had occupied it 3 decades earlier. She planned to add her own signature aroma roasted peanut, pumpkin purd, and smoked maple bacon, all destined for wagging tails. Paws and Pastry, the first gourmet dog treat bakery in northern Vermont, was set to open Saturday morning. By Thursday afternoon, every spare inch of countertop was crowded with piping bags and cooling racks. Biscuit, Willow's one-eyed rescue mutt and unofficial chief quality control officer, sat at her feet guarding a bowl of burnt ends no human would have touched. Outside, snow the texture of granulated sugar drifted across the square, turning the town into a postcard. Everything felt on track. Until Mrs. Petunia Van Alstyne's frantic phone call shattered the calm. "Duchess has collapsed," the socialite shrieked. "Just hours after eating one of your treats at the dog show rehearsal. The vet fears poison." Willow nearly dropped a tray of honey-glazed chicken twists. Duchess, a silver miniature poodle worth more than most people's cars, was Maple Falls' 4-time Best in Show champion and unofficial mascot. If townsfolk believed her treats were to blame, the health department would tape her doors shut before she sold a single biscuit. "I'm coming to the clinic," Willow said, grabbing her parka. Biscuit sprang up, sensing urgency. Dr. Gabe Mendoza, the town's veterinarian, met her at the clinic entrance. Duchess lay inside an oxygen crate, her luxurious topknot wilted. Petunia hovered nearby, silk scarf trembling. The air smelled of disinfectant and panic. "She's stable for now," Gabe whispered. "Severe gastrointestinal distress. I pumped her stomach. We won't know the toxin until lab results return, but the timeline does line up with those sample treats." Willow's stomach twisted. "I baked them at 325 degrees for 20 minutes. No chocolate, no macadamia, no xylitol. I triple-checked my ingredients. Someone could have doctored one after it left your table," Gabe offered, trying to soften the blow. "But Petunia's already phoned the health inspector. He's driving up tomorrow." Across the lobby, Ivy Caldwell, owner of Truffle, a French bulldog tipped to unseat Duchess this year, was talking to her trainer, both casting sideways glances at Willow. When Ivy caught Willow's eye, she produced a sympathetic pout that failed to hide a flicker of triumph. Biscuit emitted a low growl. Willow squeezed his collar and marched to Duchess's crate. The poodle's dark eyes fluttered open. She licked Willow's extended fingers, a fragile gesture of trust. Willow felt a surge of resolve. "I won't let anyone blame us," she whispered. "We'll find the real culprit." Outside, a winter dusk bleached the town to charcoal and slate. Willow pulled her hood tight, mind spinning. Motives multiplied like yeast. Jealous competitors, disgruntled groomers, maybe someone targeting Petunia's deep pockets. She needed information, and the place every rumor eventually landed was the Rusty Kettle, Maple Falls' one bar that served both craft cider and pup-friendly bone broth. The kettle was humming when she arrived. Antlers strung with fairy lights arched over the bar, and a chalkboard listed upcoming winter dog extravaganza events. Willow slid onto a stool beside Francine Dumont, Duchess's flamboyant groomer. Francine's sequined vest reflected light like disco ball fragments. "Heard about the poor dear?" Francine sighed theatrically, swirling her peppermint martini. "Such a tragedy. And on the eve of competition." Willow studied her. "You were running Duchess through the agility tunnel when Petunia gave her my sample cookie. Did you notice anything strange?" Francine fluttered false lashes. "Nothing, except Ivy Caldwell snickering when Duchess tripped. But Ivy's always rude." Willow's nose twitched beneath the martini's mint. She caught a sharp synthetic tang on Francine's sleeves, like nail polish remover cut with sugar. Francine followed her gaze. "New whitening spray," the groomer said, patting her vest. "Makes a coat glisten on camera." Willow filed the scent away. Across the room, Baxter Rowley, owner of Burlington's upscale Barkery boutique, was bragging to a circle of listeners. He tried to poach Willow's opening date months ago but failed to secure a lease. Burlington's market is saturated, he was saying. Maple Falls ripe for expansion if someone else can't handle the heat. Willow's fists tightened, but she reminded herself she needed evidence, not enemies. She returned to the bakery close to midnight, exhausted. The storefront felt colder. Health inspection closure stickers haunted her imagination. Biscuit nudged her knee, tail offering silent encouragement. "Time to sniff out the truth," she murmured. Friday dawned brittle and bright. News of Duchess's collapse had spread faster than lake ice, and townsfolk crossing in front of the bakery either avoided eye contact or offered thin smiles. At 10, Inspector Neil Harmon arrived. Clipboard, stern expression, and a neon sticker roll threatening as yellow jackets. "I'll need ingredient logs, supplier invoices, and access to your kitchen," he said without greeting. Willow handed everything over, heart hammering. Neil's expression softened slightly as Biscuit trotted up, but procedure remained procedure. While Neil swabbed surfaces, Gabe phoned with preliminary lab results. No insecticide, no heavy metals, no rat poison. But tests indicated trace amounts of methylparaben, a preservative used in cosmetics and grooming sprays, substances never present in Willow's kitchen. Willow felt the first gust of fresh hope. So the poison came from topical product residue. Not my treat? Possibly, Gabe said, but the media already framed it as a bakery poisoning. We need proof. Willow stared at the recipe notebook on her counter, then at Biscuit's nose, wet and eager. Dogs trusted their sense of smell unconditionally. Maybe she should, too. "Ready to go undercover, partner?" she asked Biscuit. The next event on the dog extravaganza schedule was the pre-show spa session at Pampered Paws Salon. Francine would be there prepping coats. The public was invited to observe grooming secrets for a fee benefiting the Animal Shelter Roof Fund. Willow and Biscuit joined the queue. The salon was a riot of blow-dryers and lavender shampoo. Duchess's absence hung heavy. A framed photo of her wielded a get-well balloon. Francine welcomed spectators with flamboyant bows. When she spotted Willow, the groomer's smile stiffened. "Come to learn what a flawless finish looks like?" Francine asked. "Always," Willow answered, stepping closer to the groomer's workstation. A chrome trolley held brushes, bows, and several unmarked spray bottles. Francine seized one, spritzing a Shetland sheepdog's ruff. Biscuit's ears stiffened. He strained toward the mist, nose quivering. Willow crouched, pretending to adjust Biscuit's bandana while inhaling. There it was, the same chemical bite she'd noticed at the rusty kettle, laced with something faintly almond. Cyanide sometimes smelled of almonds, her crime novel memory supplied. Heart-pounding, she snapped a covert photo of the bottle. Francine's kohl-rimmed eyes locked onto her. "Pictures aren't allowed?" She snatched the bottle, slipped it into a cabinet, and reapplied her smile to the audience. "Trade secrets, you understand?" Willow exited the salon, pulse racing. She'd glimpsed the label before it vanished. Arctic Sheen Coat Brightener. Not approved for use on ingestive animals. Beneath that, a hazard triangle. She dialed Gabe. "I think Francine used a banned brightener on Duchess. When Duchess licked her coat, she ingested the toxin. Then someone swapped my treat sample bag to frame me." "That explains the paraben." Gabe sounded excited. "Get me a sample of the spray and I can confirm. But be careful. If Francine realizes you're onto her, who knows what she'll do." Willow considered breaking into the salon after hours, but there had to be a safer way. Inspiration struck when she passed the ice sculpture tent being erected for Saturday's opening ceremony. Sponsors' banners fluttered, including one for paws and pastry. Still unsigned because Petunia's donation covered it. If Petunia pulled her support, the banner would be yanked down immediately. Francine valued public image. Sabotage required spotlight. Friday evening, Willow slipped a note under Francine's door. "I know about Arctic Sheen. Meet me behind the gazebo at 8 p.m. Or the whole town will know too. She signed it W.H. Then she called Baxter Rowley, the rival baker. I'm holding a private tasting tonight behind the gazebo, she fibbed. Might interest your investors. If Baxter showed up, she'd have a witness. Snow fell in thick flakes by 8. Fairy lights on the gazebo illuminated a small clearing. Baxter arrived first, wearing a wool coat and smug smile. Willow handed him a thermos of bone broth cocoa to keep him occupied. Biscuits sniffed, tracks in the snow. Alert. Francine appeared next, cloak sweeping dramatically. What do you want, heart? Willow hit record on her phone. The truth. Duchess licked Arctic sheen off her coat and got poisoned. You swapped treat bags to shift blame. Confess, and I'll ask Petunia not to press criminal charges. Francine laughed, but it was thin. You have no proof. Actually, Baxter interjected, eager for drama, I'd love to hear this proof. Willow produced the covert photo and read the hazard line aloud. Gabe's running tests right now. Once the lab matches methylparaben to your bottle, the game's over. Francine's veneer cracked. Under the gazebo lights, tears trembled in her mascara. I only wanted to dull her shine, not hurt her. Duchess wins every year. Petunia hogs the spotlight, tips in pennies, and the rest of us scrape for clients. Arctic sheen just stiffens the fur so judges think it's fuller. I didn't know it was dangerous. But you swap treats, Willow pressed. Francine hugged herself. When Duchess started vomiting, Petunia screamed about your cookies. I panicked, switched her bag with yours so suspicion stayed there. I never meant permanent harm, I swear. Footsteps crunched. Gabe emerged holding an evidence bag. Lab confirmed everything Willow said. Francine, you're coming with me to give a statement. Francine surrendered, shoulders sagging. Baxter whistled low. Well, looks like the market's yours, heart, chastened. Petunia met them at the clinic, summoned by Gabe. Duchess wagged weakly inside her crate. When Willow relayed Francine's confession, Petunia's eyes shimmered, part sorrow, part anger, part relief. My poor Duchess, she murmured, stroking the poodle's cheek. Then she grasped Willow's hands. You saved my girl. And your bakery's name. Whatever you need for tomorrow's opening, consider it done. Inspector Harmon arrived to deliver the official clearance letter. Your kitchen is pristine, Miss Hart. No violations. I'll be back tomorrow to buy treats for my terrier. Willow felt her knees wobble, this time from joy. Saturday morning broke with sunlight sharp as peppermint. Paws and Pastries' windows gleamed, each rail festooned with evergreen boughs and plaid ribbon. A red carpet runway of fire-end fabric led to the door, courtesy of Petunia. Duchess, sporting a modest gauze bandage and enough energy to prance once again, was the first customer through. She delicately accepted a pumpkin maple snout muffin from Willow's hand, then licked Willow's cheek for good measure. Cameras flashed. Rumour reversed course. The baker wasn't a poisoner, but a heroine. Baxter Rowley, standing in line with investors, grinned ruefully. Never underestimate small-town loyalty, he said. Or the power of a good nose, Willow replied, scratching Biscuit between the ears. By noon the bakery's shelves were nearly bare, early batches gone to Labradors in plaid jackets, Dutchins in corduroy sweaters, and even a visiting cat who preferred sardine twists. Inspector Harmon's terrier trotted out chomping a cheddar paw. Willow stepped outside for a breath of crisp air. Snow glittered like sprinkled sugar on rooftops. The church bell struck 1, sounding exactly like a timer announcing her dream perfectly baked. Gabe joined her, hands shoved in coat pockets. You realize you pulled off a forensic investigation in under 24 hours while tempering carob. She laughed. All those mystery podcasts finally paid rent. Will you add a detective special to the menu? He asked. Already planning it. Biscuits, sleuth, berry scones. Part proceeds go to the shelter roof fund. Across the square, Petunia chatted with local reporters, giving credit where due. Francine faced charges for reckless endangerment and fraud. but had agreed to court-ordered community service at the shelter. Though the town could be unforgiving, it also believed in redemption, especially involving dogs. Willow looked at her sign. Paws and pastry, crafted with love for the dogs who love us back. The words felt larger now, circled by an invisible guarantee she'd earned. "Ready for round 2?" she asked Gabe. He pointed toward the returning crowd. "They're lined up already. Don't keep your fans waiting, Maestro." Inside, Biscuit barked, once sharp, confident, and thoroughly satisfied. Willow tied on her flour-dusted apron, inhaled the mingling scents of peanut, pumpkin, and maple, and knew without hesitation that every day from here forward would start and end with that same gratifying smell of purpose, and maybe just a hint of mystery for seasoning.